Hello there. This is Bruce Armstrong again. I'm going to be doing a series of videos on recording and editing collaborative music videos, primarily vocal, that I've used for our church choir. And so the first part of this is to introduce you to a free app called MuseScore. And there'll be 2 or 3 videos, short videos on this to get you more deeply into the specifics of how to do that. So let's get going and how we familiarize ourselves with it. This is what the app looks like. Let me get my thing out of the way. When it first comes up, it says, what do you want to do? And typically you're going to start a new score, or you're going to go to one that you've already done. What we're going to show you is create a new one. And you have to pick a title, and I'm going to pick one here that I've already done, if I can spell correctly. And you can put whatever you want. Composer is William Edbury. And I'm not going to go into any more details on this. You put in all the information you want that's going to be on the top of your score. In doing a vocal presentation, you're going to want to pick your instruments that you want to show as primary for creating a good choir video in this case. And I'm going to choose instruments, and I'm going to say next. And I'm going to, in this case, I'm going to pick piano. I'm going to add it. That's a typical piano. If you look here, we've got a treble clef and a bass clef staff part, and that's going to be my accompaniment. I am also, for this, I'm going to add another piano, but I'm going to delete the bass clef because it's just going to be for soprano. I'm going to add another piano, and again, I'm going to remove and I'll just start with 2 parts here just to show you how this is done. So we've added a soprano and an alto, and we will rename them at some point in time, and we've got a piano accompaniment. But what I want to show you here is now this particular piece is going to be the key of D, which is 2 sharps. The tempo is going to be, in this particular piece, is 84 beats per minute. You can change it at any time, but it's great to start it at the beginning. This happens to be in 3/4 time. So I changed the 4 up here to a 3. And I do have 1 pickup measure for 2 beats. And I'm not going to count how many measures there are in this thing. I think there were about 100, but let's just assume that it's 32. We go next. It doesn't like that. Finish. Okay, so now you've basically got the starting point for any kind of a thing. It puts the title up here that you put at the top. You can always change those. You can change the tempo. You can change the key signature or whatever you want. Right now, it's got a 2-beat introduction as we select it. Now, let's just look at this screen on this particular video. Up at the top here, we've got an N with a little note on it. That goes from note mode to other things, text mode or rests or whatever you want to do. But if you're entering notes, you want that to be activated. You can have a 32nd note, a 16th note, an 8th note, quarter note, half note, whole note, or a dotted anything. And we'll get into some of these other details at some point in time. the different accidentals and things. If you want to switch the stems on the things, you can switch the stems. These 1, 2, 3, 4 are very popular when you're doing a fairly complicated split part, like on a bass clef or treble clef for piano, and you want to show one hand is playing a dotted quarter note or something, and the other is playing some eighth notes, and so you can split them into voices. So this is the basics of entering things. So if I wanted to enter a note, I would go up here and say note, and now the little blue thing comes in, and you can see if you run your mouse over it, it puts in a half note because that's what we've got selected up here. I'm going to put in an eighth note, and I'm going to say, here's an eighth note, and another eighth note, and an eighth note. And you could put in the second part if you like, but right now, let's just do that. You can put in multiple notes on a staff as long as they're the same thing. So that's the way you kind of enter the notes. But look over here on the left. Let's get out of the note mode so that we don't think it's going to be putting in more notes. But you've got arpeggios and glissandi, where you can expand any one of these and you can pick things to add to your piece. Clefs, if you're changing the clefs, you can do, if you had some tenor and alto clefs and things like that. Key signatures, if it changes, you can put in a new key signature. If you want to change it, your singers can't sing as high as they need to sing, you can change it down. Articulations, these are for like fermatas and accenting on notes. Time signatures, if you want to change that. Accidentals are pretty good for when you want to put something there like a natural key or a natural note or something that wasn't obvious. Grace notes, you could put in grace notes. Lines, these are for your crescendos, decrescendos, slurs, text things, first and second endings, that kind of thing. Oh, by the way, just always these have more on them, and there's more stuff if you wanted to do that. So this is all of your palettes over here. Bar lines, you know, for your various repeats and double bars and single bars and that kind of thing. Text, if you want to enter something in the staff, say diminish or something, if you want to do it, if you want to change instruments, pizzicato, things if you were using violins and things like that. Those are things you could put in there. Tempos, we've already got that set. Dynamics, you can put in, like we need to select this first note here, and in my score, it's a mezzo piano. So that will automatically, when you click on it, it goes there if you're selecting the note. Repeats and jumps, various repeats, DSs, DCs, those kinds of things. Breaks and spacers, I'm not sure, I haven't used that, so I'm not, in the beam properties, I'm not going to get into that at this point in time. But you can enter the data, you can put it in, and then at some point in time, you can say, I want to listen to this. So you have to play it. And up at the top, there's a play button and a pause button and that sort of thing. It's hidden by my screen sharing thing, but you can play it and you listen to it and it'll play, like in this case, it'll play a piano. If you picked a violin, it would sound like a violin. If you picked a trumpet, it would sound like a trumpet. So they've got all the different sounds and that sort of stuff. But in this one, we're just dealing with a piano accompaniment and what I will call a vocal piece. And that's where I was saying, and this is one more thing I'm going to do on this video, is when you get started, you may want to just say, okay, I'm picking this one. And what I wanted, I'm right clicking on it. And I don't know what that would be on an Apple product, but I think it's a double tap or something like that. But I want to go to staff properties. And if you look on here in the middle of the page here, it has part name, and say, I wanted this one to be soprano. And I want the long instrument to be named soprano, which will be on the first page. And I want the short instrument names on the other page to be that, SOP period. So now it'll change that to soprano, and you see as it goes farther down, it's abbreviated, just taking up space. Now, same thing I can do here, right click on it, go to staff part, and this one I'm going to say alto. Whoops, I could type. I'll abbreviate that one. So now we've got soprano and alto. So I've named everything, gotten the whole thing set up. Then what I will do in the next video is I will show you a completed score, which is quite tedious, but at this point in time, it's the best way to do things. You get your own notes in there. You can correct things that may be wrong in the actual printed score and that sort of thing. So that's kind of an introduction to this thing. Let me just show you a couple more little introduction things. If I'm in the note category, and if I'm up here, say on this note here, and I want to put in another eighth note that's a tied eighth note, this little thing right here is a tie. So I can just do that, and it will automatically create a tied note. If I wanted that to be a tied half note, I collect the half note and do that, and it takes the tie all the way over. That way, if you use the lines thing over here and use the slur thing, you'll get an articulation of da-da instead of the tied note. So that's something we can do in this, is you can do tied notes fairly simply. That's pretty much all you want to do as an introduction to this one. So next video will probably be a more detailed discussion of how once you put in all of the notes, and I'll show you that. So have a great day.